We are back with Night Terrors Radio. I am Ash Hamilton with horror-fix.com. I am with Rob Pastilli and Keith the Critic tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about horror movies, a little bit about festivals. We're going to give you the best 45 minutes of your life, shy of something that you can find down on the pier. But, prices are going up. That's all I'm saying, and we're absolutely free. Yeah. So if you have a choice, watch us and save yourself a trip to the free clinic. How's everybody doing tonight?
Absolutely.
We're doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah, I'm fantastic. I'm excited that we're coming back here. We're coming back in a big way. I think
it's not a show if we don't talk about the rampant count of STDs that's happening in this country.
It is not. It's definitely not. I do believe that footfinder.com is probably your safest site right now.
We got to make our audience good and uncomfortable for at least a few seconds. So we've been very, very busy, and we're going to come back, provide you guys with some more content, give you guys some more shows. Night Terrors Radio will be responsible, again, for 45 minutes of pure, unadulterated bliss. And we'll try to do that for you as often as absolutely possible. So we're with...
I like the way you emphasized bliss, like it was like bliss,
See, that's why you got a pop filter on the mic, so I can do that.
Right.
This is all just one big audio check. I don't give a shit about the content, Rob. One big audio check. That's all it is. This is all just set up as a stage to make sure that my equipment's still working. You're all part of an experiment. But no, we're going to have a great night for you. We've got Keith the Critic with us. Keith is out of Topeka, Kansas, representing with the hat we've got on tonight. So how are you doing, Keith? How's things in Topeka?
Everything is going fantastic. I'm watching the Kansas City Chiefs, and both my baseball teams won. Or one was off, one played. And, it's been a great night.
Well, good.
Yeah.
We're having a great night here as well. We're not having any tornadoes or severe thunderstorms in this part of Illinois, so that's how we have to count our blessings.
Quitter
here in Lincoln Land.
I tell you what,
we've got going for us.
It's going to be a little bit warmer tomorrow. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is going to be hot as hell. Yeah, because I'm just like, and no rain, no nothing. So,
yeah, we've had a couple of like 115 plus heat index days here. So yes. I'm glad that we've got a little bit of a break from that. The last few days have been in the 70s. It's been absolutely wonderful. Look at Rob up there.
It's all your fault. It was 75 degrees today. Beautiful wind coming in off of Lake Ontario. We had a nice breeze. It was comfortable. Drove the Jeep today with no top, no doors.
But it will be snowing there by midday Sunday.
Yeah, you can shovel snow, buddy. You can't shovel a tornado.
But if you live in Illinois, you can learn to shovel shit, which
that's
we
true.
have plenty of.
Oh, yeah. By the way,
see all the alliteration we have with the word shovel here?
Yeah. I love Chicago, and I've been there the last 23 years. I went to Chicago to watch the Cubbies and just be a part of Chicago. So, yeah.
Chicago's got a great legacy, and Chicago, for the most part, is its own little burg. It's a hinge. It's a hinge of culture throughout some of the Midwestern states. You get further south than we are Kentucky all the way, Keith.
Yeah.
But in Chicago, we're pretty good. So what we want to talk to you tonight, Keith, of course we want to talk to you about movies. We want to talk to you about the festival that you've got coming up. And one question that I always like to ask, because I've got a very long history of being a cinephile and loving movies and loving the culture of movies and sort of the ceremony of movies, going to the theater and stuff. So I always try to ask people, when did they know that the bug bit them? like that moment where you were like, oh my God, this is going to be a part of my life for forever? Or, when was that moment for you when it came to movies?
I was 5 years old, and I watched Bela Lugosi and Dracula on a little black and white TV, and and the Creeper, what used to be a host in Kansas City, he was hosting Bela Lugosi's Dracula and all that. So that's a great memory I have, man, because then I started watching classic horror movies, and all kinds of great movies. But yeah, I was 5 years old when I started watching movies, and I was 4 years old when I first watched Batman with Adam West and Burt Ward, and all those guys. So yeah, it's been a long time.
So I distinctly remember being a kid and trying to stay up late on Saturday nights. I grew up in northwestern New Jersey, and there was a station out of New York City that had the hand that would come out of the ground, and it was Chiller.
Oh yes,
Chiller.
Oh yeah.
Also
Spinguli. I watch Spinguli all the time, because we get the network and all that. And Spinguli out of Chicago. Oh my God, he's just classic. So yeah,
those are great memories of like I said, trying to stay up until midnight, and trying to sneak back downstairs and turn the TV on just loud enough so you could hear it, but not loud enough to wake up anybody else. And
my mom and dad didn't know I was watching that movie. They because my dad and my mom, they were watching something else, and I had a little black and white TV in the kitchen that I didn't own, but I had it. So I turned it around. We only had like 4 channels at the time, and I turned it on KSM in Kansas City. They were showing Dracula with Bela Lugosi. Come on, nothing better than seeing that.
No, so it's like every once in a while, we have a theater here in Rochester that will show the old black and white.
Oh yes,
and it's kind of like you have to go see it on that big, just to see it, just to experience it, and it is. It's unbelievable to see those movies like that big,
Yes.
And it's a cool feeling.
Yeah, it is. It's just unbelievable.
You've got a lot of theaters post-COVID that are starting to run older movies now. They're starting to have sort of these retro flashback weekends, and they'll run some of the older movies. We've been trying to catch as many as we can here. For example, like Wizard of Oz, we caught not too long ago. Seeing that on the big screen is
that would have been amazing.
It was. Cool. It absolutely was. And anytime they run any of the the original 3 Indiana Jones films, I'll try to catch them. So I was able to see Raiders on the big screen again, which was always great. And I've seen it at the drive-in a couple times too, which was pretty amazing. But I love the fact that I think we're starting to re-experience the value of how media is watched. Like I think we hit a dip over the last like 15 years or so where everything has been so easy and accessible that people sort of forgot about the presentation of movies. And I think that we're heading back there. We seem to be taking a sharp left and going, okay, it's not just about this content. It's about the presentation. It's about, and I talk about this quite a bit, like the ceremony or ritual of going to see films in theaters. There's just something there about getting the popcorn, the anticipation of the movie, seeing the trailers, sitting down with friends, that anticipation and excitement that comes before, especially something that you've really wanted to see. This this idea that it's not a click away. It could be 12 minutes or 19 minutes, depending on the trailers. And that anticipation and excitement grows.
Yes.
That I think is again, very valuable. And we're coming back to this idea of why things hold this kind of importance, especially with like sentimentality and stuff. Like, why
Right.
do we, revere certain things, so greatly, and why do we have these memories that seem to sort of taper as we get into the more pronounced internet age? And I think we're
Right.
all feeling it, and we're going, oh, well, yeah, because it was done this way, and there was this process, and that process lent itself to this bigger experience. And I think
Right.
that people are recognizing that bigger experience. So, talking about bigger experiences, this is something that I always love to ask too, because I have certain movies that I saw in the theater that the experience was just absolutely amazing. And it wasn't always just the movie. It was, a lot of times the audience you were with, it was the venue. What was one of your best theater experiences? Like, what movie was it, and why did it stand out for you?
I saw Goodfellas when it first came out, Goodfellas, and I went and watched that. I was just amazed by how it was shown, and Martin Scorsese is one of my all-time favorite directors, and Ray Liotta and Al Pacino, or not, Robert De Niro, and it was just Joe Pesci, and it was just such an amazing movie. And anytime that comes out now on TV and all that stuff, I got to watch a little bit of that because I know what's happening, and it was just amazing. And my second favorite movie is the original Halloween, the original, because there's very little. Got to meet John Carpenter, and I went over and I said, I love your music, because he does great music, but also I just said, I love Halloween because you know what's happening, but he doesn't show that. And that's one thing that he said, you're right on that. And we had a really good conversation. Those are my two all-time favorite movies. And of course, the first Star Wars,
Oh yeah, yeah.
because I saw it at a drive-in theater and in Lawrence, Kansas, and I was just like, wow, this is great. And right after that, there was a Peter Falk movie with two women wrestlers and all that. And and I can't remember what it was called. I know it, but Star Wars, and then it was just amazing to look at and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just amazing.
So
There's some films, and go ahead, Rob. But
I was
we'll
just saying, I've told this story before on the show, but when I saw Star Wars the first time, I actually went to go see Smokey and the Bandit, but it was sold out. And it was in the days where you had to put a dime in a telephone and call home to get a ride.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, it took her 20 minutes to drive from the theater back home, and there was other theater, and the movie was starting in like 5 minutes, and we're like, oh, we'll just go see this Star Wars, whatever that is. We had no idea what it was, and we walked in there, and like it to this day, I think that's probably my favorite cinema experience was, stumbling into this theater unknowing anything at 11 years old, and just like, what the hell is going on? What am I watching? And oh my God, this is incredible. Can you bring me $4 more so I can see it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you never forget that when when I first watched Halloween, I was just like, wow, it's amazing. And I saw it on the small screen. Then I finally, because I was a little young to watch it at the movie house,
Mhm.
but But, you know, I was just like, my God, this is such a great movie. And I got to meet John Carpenter, which I was just amazed. I got to meet him. So, yeah. But, you know, there's some great people, you know, like, you know, got to meet him, you know. He was main guy I wanted to go and meet. And, yeah, it was just amazing. And, yeah.
Yeah, I think certain movies leave you sort of breathless, and it doesn't have to be an action movie or something with that sort of that nonstop roller coaster ride. But this idea of what you're seeing, and then the score, and then just sometimes the actors themselves sort of paint this picture for you. So you're watching them, and you're watching what they're putting out there and what they're delivering, and by the end of the movie, you're just like, huh. It's like it's this fantastic sensory flood, and Star Wars is definitely that. Goodfellas is definitely that. Those are movies that just give you everything. Everything it does is purposeful.
I think what happens too is like, there's those movies that when it's over, you kind of almost feel yourself like relax, like part of like seeing the Indiana Jones, Years of the Lost Ark, seeing that in the theater, like at the end of it, and like you kind of just felt like, oh, like holy crap, like I'm exhausted and I didn't even, all I did was sit here and eat popcorn. But I remember seeing that movie and just like there was like this weird feeling at the end of it of like, oh, what the hell?
Well, you were such an active participant in especially Raiders that by the time you finally get to the arc being opened, you're questioning whether you should open your eyes.
Right.
Because you're sitting there going, should I close my eyes? Should I be closing my eyes? I mean, you're right there with Indy, you're right there with Marion. And there are some movies that give you that experience, and there's even some modern movies, strangely enough, and one that I'll cite just because I think that sort of, and I don't really want to call it a gimmick because it was very impactful, but I remember watching A Quiet Place in the theater with my wife. And she goes to reach in her purse, and I'm trying to shush her. And I'm like, wait a second. We don't have to be quiet. But it was just, it was so effective in setting that tone that even though the rules only applied to the characters on the screen, you felt like the rules applied to you. We can't make any noise. We can't do it.
Yeah.
And that movie was very successful at that. I think that first film is largely sort of underrated when it comes to horror because of the audioscape that it provided and did something very thoughtful. I thought that whole entire movie was very, very thoughtful.
I thought it was very purposeful too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was purpose driven. Having that that heightened awareness of sound, and then because so many times when we're told to shush in a movie, there's that crescendo of music in the background that doesn't allow that total silence of shush. But in that movie, when there was no sound, it wasn't like they weren't blasting you full of like music or droning sounds in the background. It was silent.
Yeah.
And I think that was, it was very purposefully done that way, I think.
And also Quiet Place 2 was almost as good as the first one because
it was a great follow-up.
Oh my God, it was fantastic. It was just, because it focuses more on the girl who couldn't hear and all that. And it was just, oh my God, I thought it was just as good as the first one. So.
There's some ways where a movie can take something that's not an enormous sort of reveal, as in like when we've been sort of we've been put through this sort of ringer of all these Marvel movies, and
Yeah.
a lot of them, mind you, I have enjoyed.
Yeah.
But it's always the one up. It's like, okay, we saw this, now we got to see this +1, we got to see this +2, and they have to escalate, right?
Yeah.
That we don't realize that a movie can take something that's not a huge reveal as in something we've never seen, right? But they can take something, and if it's written, in a way where when that reveal does happen, it's a huge moment. I remember watching the first Kick-Ass, the movie Kick-Ass,
Oh, yeah.
in Times Square, right?
Yeah.
And like, as far as superhero movies go, and you see tons of superheroes flying around and they've all got powers and everything, and then you watch Kick-Ass, like, a jetpack should not be a huge holy shit moment, right? In a superhero movie.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah.
watching this at the Times Square AMC. And that moment where the sound sort of goes down a little bit and you hear those thrusters of the the jetpack.
Yes.
The entire theater went nuts. They went absolutely nuts. And you're sitting there going, it's just a jetpack. But it's the fact that they created this world where that kind of a reveal in that world is a big deal. It's nothing in other superhero movies, but in that one it was. And they did such a great job of saying, for 2 hours, this is the world you're in. You're in a world where a jetpack is a big deal. So that when you finally see it, it was this enormous, like, holy shit moment. And I love talking about holy shit moments in movies. I love it because I love asking people too, like, what was a great holy shit moment where something happened and you're just like, you gasp and maybe you just want to fucking clap or scream or whatever. So I want both of you guys to try to remember a holy shit moment.
Oh, I got mine. It's one of my favorites, and it's the movie Seven. With Brad Pitt and Kevin Spacey and Morgan Freeman. And it's the helicopter scene at the end, and the helicopter's kind of flying over them, and they're like, "We've got a van coming down, guys. We've got a van coming down." And then he's like, Kevin Spacey's just given that that monologue about what's going on, and then that I don't necessarily know if I care for Brad Pitt as an actor or don't care for Brad Pitt as an actor, but there's that moment when he's just like, when he's pointing a gun at Kevin Spacey, and his hands are shaking, and he's like, "Just what's in the box?" And like, there's that moment when I saw that movie in the theater. I was right there. I was like, "What the fuck's in the box, dude?"
Well, you gotta admit there were moments where you could tell, and this is where I do think that Brad Pitt's a great actor. I think he just comes off as fucking doofy, but like at the end of Seven, he had all these moments where he was trying not to think about his wife's head in the box,
Right.
and he would go between being shocked and then being destroyed, and then shocked and destroyed, where it's like that sort of duality that he played, man, in those last seconds, he fucking sold it. I really think he just fucking sold it. And that movie's a great example.
There was the one moment where he, like, you could almost see like he was going to throw up, and he kind of wipes the back of his mouth with his hand.
Oh yeah.
And then he just kind of like, and then but it's like, it just, that scene will live. I think that's that one scene in any movie that I really was like, whoa. Like.
And go ahead, Keith, because I've got another one after this, but I want you to.
Oh, okay. Silence of the Lambs.
God damn it! You just took it from me.
No.
I think you just took it because I think I know what moment you're going to talk about.
Oh,
but
no. That movie, I thought, sucked. Okay. Seven is a great movie, and I watch Seven all the time because it's such a fantastic movie. It was just outstanding. Now, Silence of the Lambs shouldn't have done anything. Now, my girlfriend thinks complete opposite of how she thinks. Yes, it was the best picture of the year and all that stuff. No, I thought it sucked. But, it was just like, that's my opinion. Seven, kick ass. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But there is a moment that I love in Silence of the Lambs. And it is one of those moments where I think a good filmmaker can take a look at an audience and go, I know what the audience is expecting. And if I can lull them into this false sense of security, then I can finally pull the rug out from under them. So there's that piece towards the end of the film where we think Agent Starling and the SWAT team is going to the same house.
Yeah.
I do think that is a great moment because we're all like, oh, well, shit. She's got the SWAT team behind her. This is no big deal. And then you realize you're looking at two different houses. The SWAT team is at the wrong one. Starling's at the right one. I mean, that was a great moment. That was a really, really good moment. Regardless of the rest of the film and your thoughts on it, I think that was a great moment. So we've went through sort of what you love about films, Keith. And, what sort of got you into films. You've taken that a step further. Yeah. So let's start to talk about when you took that a step further, and let's talk about your involvement in festivals and the horror scene.
Okay. Well, I was still am in radio and TV for, 40 years, almost 40 years. And I love to talk about movies and sports and great TV series, okay? And since I can't play anymore, I love movies. But I just I've been doing movies and premiering movies for as long as I've been. For 40 years, I've been presenting great movies. So then I started realizing that there's nothing for horror and sci-fi fans, and I love horror movies and I like sci-fi. And I thought, man, maybe I should start this. And so I went and talked to, I know everybody here in Topeka, used to know everybody in the theaters and all that. And so I went over and talked to Jody at Hollywood, I'm sorry, at the Westridge 8. And she said, yeah, let's bring that in. So I brought it in for one day. And it sold out because a lot of people love horror and sci-fi movies, just like I do, just like we all do. It's something you never, ever forget. So I decided, okay, I need to up this. So I had it for 2 days. And it was great. So I decided, well, I needed to make it a 3-day event. And yes. And, I brought in so many stars like Dee Wallace and Adrienne Barbeau and Eileen Dietz, the cast from Halloween, and all those people. And I just decided, okay, I want to keep continuing to do this. And this year only cost $25 to get in for 3 days. And, I just thought, man, I need to make this work. It's just something I just love to do. And, it's just, I got, 6 other people that helped me do this. And we work tirelessly, but it's fun. and stuff. There's so many great memories of all this. And I had to cut out one year because I had 3 strokes. And then after that, the COVID hit, so we couldn't do anything then. So it's been around now for 22 years, but I've only had it for 20. So, yeah, it's something I just love to do.
So it's really funny. Like you mentioned Adrienne Barbeau.
Yes.
The first thing that popped in my head was Snake Plissken Escape from New York.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And like when you said that, I went right back to, like her being in, with Cabby, and like it was so weird. Like I think that's where we as movie buffs, I'm Ash, you probably were thinking the same thing. You're probably along the same lines. As soon as you heard her name, you probably went right back to either Swamp Thing or Escape from New York, because like that was like, you could just picture that. And I think that's what I think where horror movies and sci-fi movies do more than other movies is you can go back to that moment.
Yes.
Like, I think you can do that better.
Yes.
It's just an opinion, but
no, you're right. You're actually right on that, because like I keep watching, I watch the classics, and then I show great movies from independent film directors.
Yeah, I know one of those.
Yeah, you're one. Yeah, and I show movies from Todd Sheets and you and Patrick Ray and so many other great directors that people don't know anything about, and they learn and they see the movies, and they say, "Wow, who directed this?" You can go out and talk to them now; they're right out there, and that's something that I show great movies, but also I want to also show great independent filmmakers, short and long films as well. So that's what I just love to do. So yeah.
So what do you have going on this year? Because we'll put this up ASAP, because I know that Slash and Bash is right around the corner. So
yes.
What do you have going on this year?
Okay, so we're bringing in Brett Wagner, who plays Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, he was also in Angel, the TV series Angel, and all that. And he is such a good actor, and he's nice, and you can go up and meet him. You might, he's going to come dressed up as, it's just, he's such a good guy. So that can go out and meet him as well. And we're bringing out Mark Patton from Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And he is, I've talked to him through email and all that, but he's such a good guy. And hopefully I can interview with him before all this happens. We're also bringing out Kim Myers, who's his co-star in the movie as well. And those two appearing together, come on, it's just a perfect pairing. And so, and then we're bringing out Jen Nagel. You know her,
Mm-hmm.
and she's from Body Count, and I think she's just a great actress, and people are going to know who she is.
Yeah.
After you go out and talk to her, and that's just something that it's just something I just love to do. And we're bringing out Todd Sheets, Patrick Ray, Gary Pyland, so many other just great stars and directors and writers and all that stuff, including you.
Yes, I will be there. I will be there. Also, and
you're bringing out a bunch of. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What I also didn't realize about Brett Wagner is that Brett was Okay, so I really like classic cars. Like
Yes.
I'm a big muscle car guy.
Are you?
Like, and I've had a few here and there. I mean, I currently have a 2007 Mustang GT. So I do have and have had. It's a beautiful little car. But anyways, it's a great. And
Maybe, hey, drive it up and we'll look at it.
oh, it's about ready to get tarped up because we're heading into August. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so it's about ready to get tarped up, and I have my magnificent Subaru Forester that I'll be taking up instead. But however, the Mustang is a ton of fun, and I love it. And it's the second Mustang I've had. I had one of the 50th anniversary Mustangs, and got totaled.
Oh
over.
yeah.
And, I've had a few Camaros and stuff like that. But Brett Wagner was the narrator for Monster Garage, and
Really?
in a fill-in host for almost 20 years on that show. He was an announcer and narrator.
Wow.
So yeah,
I'm going to go back to the Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Ash, you and I have talked about this before.
oh yeah,
I truly believe that it is one of the most underrated
Yes.
horror movies. I know, like so many people were like, it's not as good as the first. It's not. It was a different movie. I don't know that you can compare.
Thank you.
And like there's a couple holy shit moments in that too. Like like when the phone turns into a mouth and the tongue comes out and all that.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, again, it's great that you're going to have them two together. That's pretty amazing. Like to be able to maybe get a signature of both of them. That's
It's
pretty
a
neat.
And also they're
huge.
gonna have. Oh, go ahead.
It is a huge deal for me.
Yeah.
Okay, because I am a huge Nightmare 2 fan, and like when I was, because when it came out, I was I was young, and I remember there were no licensed Nightmare on Elm Street products at that point, right? We hadn't got past that hump
Yep.
or where we saw stuff like in toy stores, and we saw stuff in like Spencer's. There was nothing. They hadn't figured out how to license the gloves yet. There was nothing. And there was a company that had the burnt Freddy hand with the claws coming out of it from part 2. And of course,
Wow.
this is pre-Amazon, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
and my mother, like, God bless the woman, because I'm a kid, and other kids are wanting far less devious things, and I'm like, listen, I've got to have this Freddy Krueger glove from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. It's like $50, and it's gonna take a fucking year to get here because it's pre-Amazon. So so she ordered it for me, and every day for, I swear to God, it had to have been like 4 months, because that was back when 12 to 28 weeks for shipping and handling today. And you're like, oh, fantastic, I'll order it anyways. It'll be here before next Christmas. So you order it, and then your heart sinks every day that you walk out. Now, mind you, like at that point in time, we weren't living like in the fucking Dust Bowl, like in Kansas. But in my mind, I'm walking a mile out to this, on this dusty road where there are no neighbors, and everything's desolate, just so I can get to the mailbox, because I know
And
that
the mailbox
Freddy
door
Krueger glove is in
creaks
it.
when you open it. There's that sinister creak when you pull the mailbox door open.
A puff of like ancient fucking mummy dust comes out of it. Because we haven't got mail in the middle of nowhere for forever, and that damn thing it didn't show up and didn't show. I finally got it, but we're saying like the idea of that movie and everything sort of behind it is like a pretty big deal for me. And
Oh yeah.
I think that they did stuff with that movie that was very, again, like I'll use that term again, very thoughtful. The audio design on Freddy's Revenge is probably the best audio design of the series. I mean, they ramp up some of those sounds exactly when it needs to be. Everything has this very like surreal quality when it comes to the dream sequences, where everything is very just overpowering. And I thought that was really nice. By the way, for people watching this at home, Keith has frozen again, and that's fine
Oh
because
no!
it's a great picture though. You got a big
Yeah,
smile on your face. You look like you're really enjoying the show. I think this was a perfect moment that we can memorialize on Night Terrors Radio. Is how happy
Look,
we
he
made
enjoyed
one
being with
guest.
us.
How happy we made one guest. So the like every time now when somebody will be like, "Oh, you want me on your show?" I'll be like, "Yeah, look how happy we made this fucking guy," and we're just gonna show your picture, and they're gonna be like, "Well, shit, I gotta come on that show," and then they're like, the first 5 minutes was about STDs. This guy quit. This guy he couldn't quit cursing. He's probably lured little kids into his room. He's got all these toys in it. It's creepy, but yeah, it's significant to me to be there because all of my film playing, and both Patton, and Kim Myers will be there. So that's it.
Yes.
As a fan, it's interesting as a fan when you start making stuff that cross pollinates that area, where it's like, oh, I've made a film, and then that film is at a festival that has these people that were a part of my fandom growing up, and how important like their portrayal of those characters and in that series and stuff was for me. So it really is. It's momentous, I think for me and for a lot of fans too, to be able to relive some of those wonderful moments, those things that you cherish so much, and be able to relive it with them. And I mean, Mark Patton has lived this. I mean, he is fantastic to his fans. He rejoices in the fact that this was, is such an experience for him. I mean, this is pretty amazing, and I mean, you've got some great people there.
Also, who else was coming out? Freddie's mom, Beatrice Papal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's coming out as well. So
you got to get me a signed picture, Ash. You got to give me a picture.
But it'll just look like, because I have this very unique feature of mine that when I get really tired, this eye will try to race the other one down my face. And the great thing about it is that I can start selling signed autographs of Sloth from the Goonies when that happens.
It was me. It was you all along.
It was me all along, and I'm like, yeah, I directed this movie, and this kid is like, just go, Rocky Road. Okay, whatever, and I'll do it.
I mean, right there.
But it wouldn't be the first time I've done something like that for $5 either. So it is what it is. But
right,
yeah, I think there's a lot of grace that the people are going to have tonight. Now, what are the dates of the festival, Keith?
Okay, it's going to be September the 6th through the 8th, and it's at the Woodshed at 1901 North Kansas Avenue. Oh, I'm back on now.
Yes, sir.
All right.
But for a while, you just couldn't get enough of us.
Yeah,
for about 3 minutes.
Hey, we're all a lot alike, okay? So don't worry about that. But I tell you what. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just want to urge people too, like, what we were getting into before we talked about Nightmare there for a second was that, you're showing my film, Tales from the End Times, and we'll be bringing a large portion of the cast and crew there. So if people come and watch the film, they'll be able to meet a lot of the actors that were in it, to meet a couple of the other directors because it's an anthology, and also, so we're doing something very special, Keith, and yours will probably be the first one that we'll do it at. But so we ended up getting some musical artists together, and we've actually got a vinyl of the soundtrack for the film that we'll only have available at our premieres. So it's 10 songs from a varied group of different artists, ranging all the way from literally country to gospel and everything in between on this album. But we will be bringing sealed vinyl albums of the F soundtrack with us for people who want it. And we're talking like, if for people who collect things, people who collect movie memorabilia.
I'm a big time album collector as well.
We might not have more than 50 of these at all. Like, we're doing an extremely limited pressing for these vinyls, but we will have them with us at Slash and Bash. So, and hopefully you watch the film and you're like, wow, that has some pretty kick-ass music in it. And it'll be like, well, wouldn't you know it? We've got the vinyl right here. And then,
speaking of waiting 12 weeks, Columbia House, back in the day, remember when you could
I used to get, oh my God, that was great.
And then by the time you finally got, like the album that you were so desperately waiting for, like, oh, that sucks, man. I don't want that anymore. This is not going to be one of those things. This is going to be a soundtrack that you're going to listen to over and over and over again.
To this day, when I get a phone call from a number I don't recognize, I fear that it's from Columbia House. I gotta say that if you worked for Columbia House trying to collect on that agreement, you must be like a shoo-in for the IRS. Like, they must have been scouting Columbia House customer service representatives for years and just plucked them out when the company went under, because they were relentless. Absolutely relentless. And they're like, hey, listen, we've noticed that you haven't bought an album this month. And you're like, yeah, because it's not a fucking penny any longer. That's why.
I know.
Because
that cassette
I got 13
cost me
cassettes. I get 13 cassettes for a penny. And now this next one's going to be $37.95.
Right. That cassette of Kiss Crazy Nights was $42.99.
Oh.
I'm leasing it.
You needed a firm.
Oh my God.
Oh God, yeah. I need 5 months of stuff before I can actually get to some of the B-side cuts. You're only giving me, bastards are only giving me 2 songs at a time.
Oh man.
So I remember, like, sorry, but like, you go through the Columbia House and you're like, oh, Boston. Oh, it was the first one. I have the first one already. I need the second one. And they always had, like, you're like, oh, Kiss. Oh, it's Kiss Unmasked. There were no good songs on Kiss Unmasked. So all the petty, you eventually had to be like, all right, Simon and Garfunkel's greatest hits. That.
I got to see Kiss at the Expo Center and the week before they came in without makeup, and I was like, what? That wasn't fun. I want Kiss and makeup. Come on.
Yeah, I saw them on the Crazy Nights tour, and then I saw them again, like with Hot in the Shade. And like again, like a great show. And I've seen so many bands, a lot of bands. Kiss was still one of the loudest shows I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was great though.
Yeah.
So I just got asked that question, and I was thinking about the loudest shows that I've ever been to, and for me, it was AC/DC, For Those About to Rock.
Oh.
Because it was inside the Brendan Byrne Arena, and when they did For Those About to Rock and the 21 cannon salute, they were firing cannons inside of a building. And they had to be louder than AC/DC. And I just remember leaving there, and for like a week, anything anybody ever said to me, it sounded like I had cotton balls in my ears for like a week. But I saw the original 4 members of Kiss at Jones Beach.
Oh wow.
Wow. Oh my God.
Again, growing up in near New York City, we saw all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
You
it was
know,
just
and
there
And
was
by the
so much that
way,
was available.
yeah,
do you know? I mean, when I went and saw some rock bands from the '80s and all that, I paid like the most, like $20,
yeah,
the
Oh
$25
yeah.
to get in.
Yep.
Now they're charging 4,000. I don't mean this, but some, and I was just like, my God, what the hell, man? What's what?
I
So yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
become
saw.
such a cottage thing too that um, I think what it is it truly is a money grab
yes,
because of the fact that artists are not making the money off of album sales. They're not making the
Yeah.
money that they used to make off of CD sales and cassette
no,
sales. So to be able to, still be, an artist and have the money to create and live the artist lifestyle, you got to get the money from
Oh
somewhere.
yeah.
oh yeah,
And
yeah,
it's no longer like, Kiss. What did they have for a stage show? They had some fireworks, some pyrotechnics, and the four of them. That was it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And Gene Cinnamon's huge boots.
right.
Yeah.
And it just became now if you go to a concert and there's not a 15-minute docu-series movie being shot
Yeah.
with camera angles coming
Yeah.
from paratroopers coming in from the skies, filming the band as they come down, and it's like, no, it's, dude, you're not there you're there because
You want to hear the band,
you
man.
want to hear the band, you want to be there for the experience of seeing that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But
I will say, and just because I always sing the praises of this band because it was such a good time, but I've had a wonderful time in the last couple of years being able to see Ghost
yeah,
on tour, and they put
you
on
told me.
an absolutely fantastic show for people who remember like what it was to see bands at like the height of their popularity, like during the 80s, late 80s and early 90s,
Oh yes.
with
Oh
these huge bombastic sort of stage shows.
yes.
Like Ghost is still doing, they're doing that, and not a lot of bands are, and it was a great experience. In fact, just seeing Alice Cooper again was an absolutely
Oh,
wonderful show. He still puts on a great show and has more energy than I do. You know,
he went on tour with God. Alice Cooper was supposed to tour, and then the pandemic hit and all that. And oh my God! And he was supposed to tour with God. I can't remember what her name is. She's a oh God. Can't remember her name. I'll think about her in a second. But anyways, yeah. And I wanted to see Alice Cooper so bad. And I thought, Melissa said, my girlfriend said, yes, we can go watch those because it's Alice Cooper. Come on. And then all that hit. And I'm like, oh my
yeah,
God. Yes.
yeah.
I saw him on the Poison tour when if you
Yes.
Oh
remember.
wow, yeah.
I saw him on the Poison tour, and it was like, if I could be wrong because this was back in my drinking days, and a lot of shows blended together. But if I remember correctly, Kip Winger opened for him.
Oh.
Kip was his bass. Well,
Yeah.
Kip was his bass player for many
Yeah.
years.
Well,
Kip was Alice Cooper's bass player for years.
Here's what's crazy. If you go see Alice Cooper now, Kane Roberts is still playing some of his shows.
Oh, jeez.
And
Also,
that guy, I think, was with Alice since like 85,
beginning.
86 with Constrictor. That
I
guy's
thought he
been
was there
with
before
him.
that.
God,
And he
I can't
might be.
remember.
He's been forever. And he's, you know what? He's still huge. Like the dude still lifts weights. And he's like ripped. It's absolutely ridiculous. Well, this,
I can't.
as
I can't.
always, guys, and I hate to cut anybody short, this is the fastest hour on the internet. That's how we bill our show. It is the fastest hour on the
I thought you said
internet.
it was 45 minutes. Come on.
We've already went past the 45 minutes.
I know we have.
But it was a good time.
Oh, we have a wonderful time, and we can't thank you enough, Keith, for being honest tonight. So, if you could tell the audience again where they can get tickets, what the show dates are, give us a little bit of a rundown again, please, if you could.
Okay, it's a 20th annual Slash and Bash or Sci-Fi Film Festival. It's on September the 6th through the 8th at the Woodshed at 1901 North Kansas Avenue. Tickets are on sale at Vintage Stock, and you can go to slashabashfestival.com. You can get your tickets like that as well. We're bringing in so many great people: Mark Patton, Beatrice, Mark Ragnar. Who else are we bringing in? There's so many people we're bringing in, but it's just I like to focus on current filmmakers and directors, but people who are independent filmmakers that I've known for years, and it's just I just want to please everybody, and you can get hotel rooms in downtown Ramada Inn and just say Slash and Bash, and they'll give you a big discount on. You can stay there for 3 nights and have so much fun. And it's just an honor. And Ash, you're going to come out as well. So
I will be there for the entire event.
Yes, yes.
And I will be showing my film. So people who are watching this, definitely come down, watch F Tales from the End Times. A lot of the cast and crew will be there. And remember those vinyls. I got to push it because we just released the first single from the soundtrack by a little known but up and coming Norwegian band called EMG. The song's called Beacon. It's, in my opinion, it's a fucking banger. It's a great song. The whole soundtrack is filled with great songs. So take a look at the single Beacon. We just released it. Come get the soundtrack. It's gonna be a great time. It's gonna be a great show. So many great people are there. Mark Patton, Brett Wagner, Kim Myers, Jennifer Nangle, of course, Todd Sheets, other filmmakers. It's gonna be a great week. It's gonna be a ton of fun. It'll be an absolute ton of fun. So definitely check the website. Check the Facebook page. And again, we want to thank you so much for being on with us tonight, Keith. It was an absolute blast. We love talking movies. We love talking festivals. We love talking music. This is why we do what we do. So thanks, everybody, for watching Night Terrors Radio. We'll come back, and we'll have some great stories for you in the weeks to come. Thanks so much. Have a great night, everybody.